sure like everyone has like a, you know, a diverse group of friends, you know, or they might not, you know, but I think like you shouldn't like feel restricted about writing about other communities or like other characters that are outside your like social group. You know, I think that's like a very important thing to like integrate it, because that's natural, like having diversity around you. I think it's really important. Like I hate when people get slammed for like, say, you know, this like Arabic writer who's writing about a black woman. Why can't you write about a black woman? Like he knows black women, so let him write about a black woman. You know, don't slam him for doing it. Like it doesn't make sense. And I feel like a lot of writers do get slammed for it. You know, like for what does he know about it? Like what do you know about it? Do you know what I mean? Like let people express it. You know, it's an art form at the end of the day. There's no right or wrong answer with like making characters and creating characters. That's the way you see it. You're going to see it differently from like everyone else sees it. So never feel restricted. Like I feel there's no right or wrong answer of it. Just feel comfortable about writing it. It's a story at the end of the day.
I think I would just add on to that you're probably going to get a better response the more research and respect that you give to the subject matter that you want to tell. So yeah, it's about, you know,
balance.
If an Arabic man or whatever has done the research,
100%.
Yeah. And it's funny actually. I literally just made a short film about white writers writing black stories, so I'm going to send you that because you might like it. Any more questions? Do you want to lob your mic over? Okay, we got one over here.
I was going to say, yeah, jumping off that, because with regards to that, do you not find that there'd be a major issue with regards to actual representation? So if we were looking at the representation of BME people in film, it doesn't generally tend to be the best image. And I find in society that also perpetuates it as to how we tend to get viewed by other communities. So do you not find if a white person was to write about a person of color, that in itself would almost be toxic rather than maybe bringing a person of color onto the set with them?
I believe like certain subjects and certain stories are very, very, very sensitive. And I feel like, yeah, that can be kind of very toxic. But I think the major issue isn't about the writers. I think it comes above that, which is the executives who are choosing who is making these films and then who is getting commissioned to create these stories. And I believe like they're not implementing enough diversity within that type of filmmaking, especially stories of like, you know, black culture, and also, you know, sensitive stories, say like, you know, in the war about the Nazis, and, you know, like there's very sensitive stories that aren't really represented in the right way. And I think it is not to do with the actual writers themselves, but it's the executives that are choosing the writers. And I feel like there's not enough diversity within the executives who are choosing and commissioning, who don't understand what it is to be black, what it doesn't understand to be BAME, who doesn't understand to be from a different place. So I don't really feel like it is to do with the actual writers themselves. I think it's like a bigger problem.
It's interesting you say that, because obviously we're talking about like the power dynamics of our world, really, and obviously the executives hold all the money, so that's why they get to pull the strings. Any other questions? Yeah. You lot are doing my job for me. Thank you.
So in relation to, I think the question for me, I would feel that considering how much we're trying to get so many people, like trying to get, you know, a seat at the table, and the fact that we're even looking at someone like Tyler Perry and telling him that he shouldn't be writing any stories about black women, we need to really be thinking about the people. There's nothing wrong with people as an author to have a freedom of expression, and we can't stop you from that. But then it's the most important thing to think about is now what is it that we're saying with the films that are being made. But aside from that, that was my personal opinion. We can discuss that later. I wanted to ask the question on how, as the images that we see of ourselves as black and ethnic minorities within TV, and even with the example that you gave and what you've done before with The Weeknd, how do we move away from just having the urban films? How do we get more films that show us going to space, doing other things in the UK, not just only, you know, in in America?
Yeah, I think it again. It really lies with, you know, the execs that are in power in sort of TV and film. Like, I think I was just reading like like a percentage of like black people behind the camera in general, and it's like on television it's like no, this is not even black. This is just like BAME. So that's everyone who isn't like a white male, and it's like 2.2%. It has gone up from 0.8%, which was like less than one person, which is great, but it's still not great. So I feel like it's very much a case of, you know, it's like that dynamic of people like trusting BAME filmmakers to tell stories that are different from that's what's out there. I feel like if they don't put executives from a BAME background in positions of power, where I mean they can have a decision at the table for people like us as filmmakers, then nothing is going to change. It's never going to change. Like, that dynamic is just going to be the same, because they feel comfortable about commissioning stuff that is very, you know, the norm and inverted commas like urban, and seen us as a certain person on screen, because that's all they know. And when you come with something different, their whole response will be like, well, it's not going to work because there's nothing like this, so it's never going to change. Because that's how they keep their jobs. They keep their jobs because they keep in a safe ground where they're not going to challenge anything that's going to be anything that's different than the stereotypes that are on screen at the moment.
And does that maybe emphasize the importance of private funding, like you mentioned, and not relying
100%.
on executives?
Like, okay, like think about it. So, like let's go to like a dynamic like the urban music scene. Like, it's thriving at the moment. Stormzy's got a #1 album. It's a very healthy industry. That whole scene came about from independence, grime culture, wave culture, gangster rap culture. Like, that's all come from independence. Like, people just picking up a mic, selling their records, like doing their own performances, and it's built up to like a commercial image. Same with hip hop culture in the 90s. It's very reflective of what's going on now. So like, if they're not going to give you the keys to like do it, then the only way it's going to change if like we will keep on doing it independently. So that's the only way, really, because I can't really see a difference on TV, like in terms of stereotypes of like black and Asian sort of images. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. You can tell me, like, but I haven't seen too much of a change. I would like to see more of a change, but I feel like the more, and it's going to be changing very, very dramatically because of all these platforms like the Netflix and the Amazons and the Stars and everything else, because like content is king at the moment. So there's going to be much more places to sort of like show representation and diversity, which is great as well.